But you notice that Paul says to Timothy that you must train yourself. Train. What do you think of when you hear the word train yourself? Yes, hard work. I believe he was using a picture from athletics. And they had the games, and they were very, very active in sports around the time of the Apostle Paul. The Greeks were very boasty about their athletic prowess, and they were involved in a lot of sporting activities and games. But when you talk about training, you're talking about hard work. Turn to your neighbor and say, hard work. You know hard work? First of all, it's work. But secondly, it's hard. Training involves discipline. It means that godliness is not something that you attain instantly, overnight. Do you ever see instant athletes? I mean, sometimes you can be gifted, really gifted in a particular sport. Am I right? But you still need to train, huh? I mean, you might be a basketballer and you might have height on your side. You might be 7 foot tall. But how many of you know that that alone can't do it? You need to do some training. But I noticed that it says train yourself. So in other words, you have a responsibility. You have a role to play. So it's not a question of just going before God and God just making us godly. Unfortunately. But we have a responsibility to put ourselves under discipline, to expend the energy, to be diligent, and to give ourselves to the hard work of becoming godly. It means that we have to persevere. None of those athletes that we are so eager to watch get up one day and say, boy, I don't feel like going training today, you know. Boy, else we'll miss it. Just call the coach and tell the coach, listen, man, take him today off, you know. How many of you know that that can't work? Because you have to be persevering, unrelenting, until you become just naturally good at the particular thing that you're training in. It becomes second nature to you. In fact, this thing affects the whole structure of your life. If you are a superstar athlete, it affects every area of your life. It should. And all of these champion athletes, you notice whenever they start getting careless about their personal lifestyles, they begin to go down. You have to be disciplined. It's going to affect how you relate to the opposite sex. It's going to affect the time and how you use your time. You understand, brethren? It's going to affect how you organize and structure your entire life. Godliness is something that is a lifelong, consuming, all-embracing attitude that we should have. But this attitude of devotion to God has 3 elements to it. You can write this down. It involves the fear of God. And the fear of God means that you reverence God. You don't take God for Santa Claus or Papi Show. You respect His word. You respect His presence. And you respect Him, who He is. Reverence. But it also involves loving God. Loving God. Meaning that God is the object, the focus of your love, devotion, even affection. And thirdly, devotion to God involves desiring God, desiring to meet God, to experience God, to relate to Him. Desiring God. Of course, all of these things will cause us to want to please Him in everything that we do. Brethren, are we prepared to give ourselves to the hard work that is involved in godliness, in becoming godliness, becoming godly. Are we? Yeah? You notice Paul says, godliness has value for all things. Hey, physical exercise is good. And those of us who are disciplined and, do a lot of physical exercise, let me tell you, that's really good. It helps you a lot. Am I right? And it has benefit for this life. But godliness has promise and benefit not only for this life, but for the life which is to come.